Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CEO Confidant TV. This is 𝐤𝐚𝐧𝐨𝐰, and we are here today with Alessandra Veronesi. Hi, Alessandra, how are you?
I'm great. Hi, Angel, and how are you?
Very well, thank you. So as you know, this is 𝐤𝐚𝐧𝐨𝐰. I am the CEO Confidant. Today we are live on LinkedIn and many other places. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And we took this chance today to have actually one extraordinary author and professional in the world that really takes care about what happens to every one of us in the world. And she's written a very interesting book called A New Banana. Obviously, as soon as I saw that there was a book called A New Banana, it grabbed my attention, right? And by the way, for all of us that are on the gym every single day, a banana only has 120 calories. So let's just start the conversation, Alessandra, with someone like you that knows so much about bananas. Do you think that our mental health can we actually be considered a banana or a new banana?
So yes. In fact, in the introduction, I talk about how bananas actually came into existence in 8,000 BC in Southeast Asia. And initially, they were full of seeds and they were pretty unpleasant to eat. But someone believed in them and they were transformed through whatever methods of agricultural selection that they had in those times to become the mostly seedless fruits that we know today. And additionally, something I later found out after publishing the book, that we share 50% of our DNA with bananas. So we are bananas, all of us, effectively, at least halfway through. And in a way, it does serve as an analogy. In fact, that's what I meant by titling the book, is we have the ability to transform ourselves. And counter to what we may think, maybe adding a course, it's important to continuously improve ourselves and look for information to do so outside of the normal places. But the best answers and the most permanent ones that I have found to impact me greatly have been from within. So therefore, peeling the layers and getting down to the core of who I am, and then acting from that state of presence in my life. So.
Excellent. I have been, daring enough to throw a curved ball to Alessandra to start our conversation today. But let me tell you something else about her. Alessandra Veronesi was born in Milan and grew up between northern Italy, New Jersey, California, and France. Please, if I forget an important location in your life, you let me know. Alessandra then pursued a career in marketing, an MBA in New York City. She worked in corporate America for many years, later spanning into Europe for more than 15 years in the insurance software and finance industry. You see, insurance software and finance industry. This is really, like, I would say, stressful industries. I'm sure that you were surrounded by people that you could feel they were suffering and in pain and anxious in many ways. Would you agree with that statement, Alessandra?
Yes, and I would say that in order to feel that sensation, there was something in me that was being triggered by that. So we're essentially, we're immune in a way to other people's energy unless there's something inside of us that is being triggered, which is also matching that energy. So as much as I can say, oh, I was so surrounded by stressed people, in the end, I was probably, with my own life story at that time, contributing to all of that buzzing energy, which most people glorify and use as fuel to create productivity and success. There's nothing wrong with productivity and success. That's the ultimate goal, is to be purposeful and achieve things and create things in this world. But I will say that a lot of the material that created me as an individual, which I then was able to get a new perspective on and also heal, came from the workplace. That's where I spent most of my time as an adult, and that was a very big part of my identity.
It's very interesting the way you described it, because I guess there was a moment in your life, Alessandra, in which you had that epiphany, right? You realized that you weren't aware of something that was going on inside of you. So would you mind sharing with the audience how was your personal how was your personal journey? And also, I would like to ask you that question because is it possible that we are going through, or many people are going through that, and we just don't realize, we're not aware of that, we're not conscious of that? So would you mind sharing your own journey?
Absolutely. And my journey, I'll make it as general as I can because I think there's something relevant here for everyone. And that is what you just touched upon. I think something was lying dormant in me for a long time. And so, just I went to work, I did my job, and there was something behind it that for many, many years I wasn't able to understand what was trying to come out. And something interesting, of course, we may have heard in the past or recently, we are all creators. This is what we're here to do. We're here to create. But creation can be anything. It doesn't just have to be art or a book. In my case, it was a book. But there's this feeling of slight discomfort that grows and grows. And when we have something that we're meant to do, that thing also wants to be created. And there's two different phases to creation. There's the creation itself, which is about 50% of it. You create your creation. But then there's also the part where you let it breathe and set it out into the world. And that's the other 50%, is you give it that space to breathe. When we don't acknowledge that creation, or when we do make a creation and we don't give it that space to breathe, then it only has room to come. Reconnected still?
Yeah, I think we were disconnected for 3-4 seconds, but I think we are back online. Thank you.
Got it. So what's interesting about it is that when we don't acknowledge that one thing that's knocking, or two things or three things, or little different signs and hints that we may not recognize are something fighting to come through, it can further create resistance within ourselves, which is what happened in my case, where I was lucky when COVID happened and I was finally given some stillness, which felt terrifying and also like a pretty big crisis to me at the time, but eventually I realized was a big gift, because all of those things started flooding back to me and I was able to give them space to breathe. And one of them being the book, another one being meditations I started writing and sharing with my friends. Without recognizing that I was familiar with this law, I was starting to feel more and more in alignment just by listening to what wanted to come through me and out of me and be shared into the world.
When now that you're explaining your personal story, I don't know how far or how deep would you like to go. If you were open to share some of your story, so that maybe we could resonate a little bit more about this, because obviously that played a very important role in your life. I mean, you wrote a book, you've written a book. You are in launch mode right now. You've been in bookstores. You've been everywhere online. I mean, everybody's getting to know Alessandra right now. For the ones that is the first time that you hear about her, please reach out to her. By the way, I'm going to put immediately here where you can find the book right now at the ticker just below us. Okay. By the way, in order not to, before we continue with the conversation, now that we're talking about your book, Holy Shiver. Who is Holy Shiver? And do you know Holy Shiver, Alessandra?
Yes, Holy Shiver is basically my alter ego and the brand that my company that I've started, that I also published the book through. And I'm saying my alter ego because while I didn't stop working a traditional job until right before I was ready to publish the book. So I was compartmentalizing this side of my identity for a little while, and then the brand took off on Instagram, and I've kept it because I think there's a nice irony to it as well. I think it's, life is meant to also be funny, hence the title of the book. We're meant to take it lightly as much as we can without not giving, always giving credit to the depth of a situation, but it's also good to laugh. So Holy Shiver comes from that phase in my life where I was sort of going into this new role as an author and as a speaker and coach, etc.
Excellent. So there's an alter ego called 𝐤𝐧𝐨𝐰, and I think this is also a very important part of the people that are still working in a, as you said, like a typical job, classic job. And it's funny how you build your alter ego so you felt comfortable. What happens with people? Do they really consider people in the corporate world? Do you think that they really consider getting out of the safety, protection, and everything that comes out of it? How do you see it? How do you see the world evolving?
This is a very personal choice, and I have to say I'm still very closely connected to everybody I've worked for and with in the past, including my latest boss, if he's watching. Hi, Lou. I really have maintained great relationships with everybody because, as far as I'm concerned, and so I think ultimately the goal is about coming full circle, and it's not about what you're doing, it's about your intention behind it and how you're feeling. So if you're in a role where you feel rewarded and you feel very satisfied that you can close your computer and live your weekend and go hiking and not have to worry about anything else, then that's great. You're contributing to the world with your happiness, and we need that kind of energy. I'm the kind of person who wants to work on a Saturday morning or on a Sunday night if I have an idea. It's inevitable for me. And for me, this role suits me. And but if I didn't have this mission that was so loud and clear, I would, of course, go back to a company. I mean, I've had great experiences as well. There are some situations which can be considered more challenging based on, as you said, different energies in the workplace and how they can push our boundaries. But a job for a company in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it. You have a company, and I will one day have employees. I'm looking to get some employees very soon. So, I mean, the actual structure of a company environment is nothing to be, looked down upon. It's actually a beautiful thing. It's how I got here today. It's why I'm comfortable speaking in public, because I've had group presentations and stakeholder meetings and Zoom meetings. I have a lot to be grateful for because of the playground that a corporate environment offered me. And we have to remember that to an extent, it is a bit of a game. We go in, we give something, we get something back. Sometimes we get a little bonus. Sometimes we get, and as long as we're contributing from a good intention, then it's beautiful. In my particular case, what was creating the friction and maybe some suffering, which I needed to heal through meditation and then gave me all of the new perspective for the book, was that I was really deriving my self-value from my from my external, including very much what kind of work I did, whether or not I was able to get clients, how I was performing, everything that was taking place in my external environment, primarily in the workplace and travels, was serving to define me. And it's a fine line. But what we need to remember is if we're doing our best, we need to be like a little bit softer with ourselves. Instead, I was in a mindset where if, for example, something didn't go through or a client didn't sign something, I would be in my own head consistently overthinking things like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I should have not taken off my jacket, or made them feel more comfortable, and that little thing did this, instead of understanding that we're all part of a much greater flow. And when things do not happen for you, it's some form of protection or creating space for the right thing to come through in alignment. So these kinds of realizations, you can have them in any kind of capacity, and you can have them while you are working. You can create a shift in your mindset through different practices if you are not feeling so good in the workplace.
Excellent. I was wondering, obviously you briefly talked about who the book is for in the beginning of our conversation, but I would like to elaborate a little bit more, because you have already had feedback from your audience, from your stakeholders, from your friends, from the people that have started to buy your book. What are they telling you? What is the first feedback that you are getting from the people that have read your book, Alessandra?
So people who know me are very surprised to know that my tone is there. So they're like, we can hear you through this book. So your voice is there, and they say it's actually surprisingly pretty funny. So there's some humor sprinkled throughout because I like to look at life a little humorously and lightly. People who I don't know are just basically thanking me, and some of them are saying, wish I had found this book sooner. It really helps with particularly an anxious mindset profile. So someone who tends to feel quite anxious will find that the whole journey of reading the book is kind of like a reset in terms of how to approach the world across a variety of dimensions in life, not just work, not just friendships, but also ourselves and romantically.
For the ones that can't wait to purchase the book, by the way, you can see here the Amazon link again. There's like 4 main topics, if I may say that, for the ones that have dissected the book already, that you talk about. You talk about healthy memories, feeling worthy, feeling real, and relating to others.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you pick those? Why do you think those 4 are relevant or so significant in our lives?
So I think the most important thing, besides approaching everything from a state of love and not fear, is being real and being aligned. And being aligned is not easy. It's a constant journey. Because when we start going into our alignment, which means we become more authentic towards ourselves, we're going to trigger a lot of other people because we're starting to shine light on places that does not have light. And so when that sort of thing happens, it's very freeing for certain people and it's very triggering for others. And ultimately you start falling on an alignment in your life where you no longer need to maybe compromise your freedom of expression. And I've just found that as I keep following this path, as much as that it is difficult, it is very liberating to feel like I can say whatever, I can be as consistent to myself and my thoughts and my dreams as if they were all one thing all the time. So being real is really important so that we feel like we have also energy to live, and we're not when we're faking it till we make it and behaving in certain ways, we're not really being real to ourselves. And if our intentions are pure and correct and we want to be good contributors in this world, then being real is the best way we can get ourselves on a track of alignment and find the other people that are going to be walking with us. So that's why I felt like being real is an important thing. Healthy memories, because we tend to live in the past a little bit too much, and for better or worse. The thing is, that is a story. So at a certain point in time, you have to realize that we all have a story. And mine is very unique until I realize it's just a story. Because when I'm living here right now, talking to you in the present, we're creating something new, which is now having its own space. So a healthy memory shouldn't feel charged with regret or longing or anything like that, because it really gets in the way of us living in the present. Relating to others is what we're here for. We're collaborative creatures. We, of course, we want to first be in a place where we can give to ourselves first, because then when we give out, it comes from a really healthy, beautiful space. But ultimately, we're sociable creatures. We like to share. It's how we enrich ourselves with more things. I mean, without you in our conversation, this dynamic wouldn't have been created. I would have just been at home speaking to myself, and that wouldn't really go anywhere. So, but relating to others is really, really important, whether it has to do with, and giving others the freedom to, again, authentically express themselves. So it starts out with ourselves and it goes into one-on-one relationships, and then it goes into groups and work dynamics. But as long as we've mastered the part where we know how to live our inner journey in a way that makes us feel good and satisfied and complete and proud, and also softening to our humanity, because we shouldn't be doing things out of guilt and shame. We should be, kind to ourselves and, across all dimensions. Then effectively, then we go to bed like happy at night, and then we wake up motivated to start the day. And it doesn't matter what we do; it's about how we do it.
Excellent. To make things easy for everybody, for whoever wants to buy her book, actually, if you not click, but if you go with your cameras, with your cell phones, and you scan that code, it's going to take you exactly here, where you can buy the book, a new banana book, 𝐤𝐬𝐲𝐵, and peel yourself and elevate your relationships by Alessandra Veronesi. Is only $18 here in the US, paperback. So it's really, really easy. Again, super, super easy for you guys to read her book, to be inspired, and to start changing your life today. Again, I'll try to leave this QR code at the top left corner of our screen so that you can easily go there, visit it, and buy it. Oh, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
So as of last week, I also have the audiobook on Spotify. And I wanted to say for I'm able to give away 5 free listening vouchers to any of your listeners if they want to get back to you.
Awesome.
I can offer them a free download of the audiobook. So it's on Spotify.
Excellent. So what we are going to do then is, after our conversation, because obviously we don't want to distract her now, if you don't mind going to LinkedIn and to the post, and then you post somewhere the how to get one of these 5 free Spotify vouchers that will allow the audience to actually listen to the book. That will be awesome. Okay, so again, to everybody watching us right now, make sure that you go through, let's say, we'll try to put it, I don't know if we can pin it on LinkedIn. I don't know if we can pin, if we can pin any of the comments. I'm not sure that we can do that, but we'll try to make it sure that, it's visible and everybody can see it. Maybe we can also ask the production team to change the copy of the post, so we can even put the link at the copy of the post, so everybody will see it no matter what. Thank you for the reminder. We just wanted to make it very, very easy. And let's go back to the life of Alessandra, right? So you were in so many countries, you went back and forth. So we guess you are fluent in Italian besides being fluent in English. How would you say that your international experience and lives have actually influenced your book?
Well, I was always grateful to see that things can be done in more than one way. So I think living internationally is really a blessing, and it allows you to understand that there's no wrong way to reach a means end. There's no degree to equifinality, as we used to study in college in communications. And so that has always been I've been blessed to have that as an inherent belief. I don't have to think about it. It's already embedded inside of my system. So I'm grateful to my background now that I've, grown into it. I say that like that because growing up, it was not so easy to have to juggle, in a way, 2 identities, because I lived 10 years in Italy as a child, and then I moved to the States. Some psychologists call this trauma. I called it opportunity. So, but it did really, really help me, because when I approach things, I don't really have a fear of changing my beliefs. I'm always very, very, I'm actually eager to change my beliefs if something better comes along, because how wonderful it is to have figured out a new truth. And what is truth but a confirmation of itself? So if we're getting new confirmations of new truths and growing from that, then I would say that I had that opening from already living in a household where I had 2 different cultures and languages at the same time. Similar to your family, I would think, for your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was in the same position, and also traveling a lot for business, and then going to a lot of countries. Yeah, I think it makes you see also the world and your life in a different way when you get in touch with so many cultures, so many countries. And you mentioned something which I think is very important. You said, I want anybody to challenge my belief system, so I'm open to consider it, because very often I believe that discernment is one of the most missing things in the education of our kids, to give them the pathway of discernment, of how are you going to discern if this resonates with you or not, as an individual, as a being, etc. So going back to the book, what are your plans, Alessandra? So besides your book, what is behind the book? What would you like to accomplish after publishing the book? You're just launching the book, you're just launching the audiobook, it's on Spotify. Our audience will be able to download it, 5 of them for free. But what do you think comes next?
Great question. So the book I published in June of this year, which was super exciting. I finished writing another book this weekend, so that's going to be coming up in a little while. I think writing will always be a part of something that I enjoy contributing and doing personally as a way for myself to express. I'm also working on corporate meditations, so both in dialogue with partnerships with other platforms, so being able to release certain corporate meditations out into their wellness systems, so offered through different organizations, as well as custom meditations for those who would like to speak with me one-on-one. I also work one-on-one with people who are interested in learning more about how they can make meditation in a customized way, approachable and catered to what they're going through specifically.
As you said, partnering with platforms, there are a few people that are doing similar things right now, or they have tried to do it similar things. What do you think makes your corporate meditations different, Alessandra?
I'm a very observative person and very empathetic, and most of my suffering was lived in an office. So not because of the office per se, but because of the state I found myself in and the high concentration of hours I spent. So I got to know many, many different scenarios that we go through throughout the day, and moods and emotions and feelings. So I remember that very well. I still remember it as if I was there. This was, they say your target audience is you 5 years ago. So I heard this recently, and it was very validating to me, because I always felt that the biggest contribution I could give was to someone who might be going through unnecessary discomfort and struggle in a journey that can potentially instead be very rewarding and light and more aligned and integrated. So this is why I think so. And as you said, it's important to be discerning, and by no means, everybody will resonate with someone. As long as we're moving towards progress and a solution, I'm here just doing my part in listening to my call.
Wonderful. How would you say that your audience, besides buying your book, how do you think the audience could help you today?
Well, definitely buy the book. It would be great, because it's a good start and a nice, refreshing foundation to some concepts that we're not really used to thinking about while we're in a work day. And if they would like to maybe be in touch, so sign up for my newsletter, and at that point, I would be able to, I typically tell my audience through newsletter what I'm doing next and what sorts of events I'm doing around the world. So every once in a while, I will create a gathering, and in this gathering, we have a topic of discussion and a meditation together, and a little bit of an event comes through, and I'm starting to do that around the world. So with different themes. So if anybody would like to be connected, you can sign up for my newsletter on the website or holyshiver.com/ oh my goodness. Well, it's on the footer. It's the contact us on the footer. Yeah, I think it's get in touch, but I don't want to send anybody to the wrong place. In any case, that will be my newsletter link is right on the website.
Okay, right now we are connecting. It's a beautiful website. By the way, let me share with you
Okay.
how her website looks like, because it's really beautiful. Look at that. I was trying to escape from her website, but guess what? There's a pop-up window saying newsletter. Sign up for my
Exactly.
for my newsletter.
That's another pop-up. Yes.
Hey, hold on a second. Let me make sure I share the right screen here, because I think it's here it is. Okay, so this is her window, her website, and I was trying to escape from the website, but hold on a second. Let me make sure I show it. Okay, so here it is with a very inspiring photo picture, right? From let me take the QR code off so we can fully see the beauty of your website and of this picture. Where was this picture taken?
This was in Egypt, actually. This was right when I was bringing all of my new realizations together, and when I was really feeling the results of my efforts, basically, from meditating and inner work.
Look at that. What a beautiful website. Thank you. What a beautiful website. As you see here, when you put the cursor in front or on top of one of those windows, there's some moving images here, some static images and some moving images as well. So this is her website. So now if it happens the same that happened before, when I try to leave, no. So newsletter, here there is newsletter, and then your email, your first name and last name. Look at that. Is this Egypt as well?
That's Luxor. Yes, that's in the Valley of the Kings.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We just want to make sure that everybody in the audience knows who you are, knows where to find you. So it's really, really, really easy to buy the book, to get in touch. Let's talk about corporate America a little bit. I'm broadcasting from Dallas, Texas. You lived in the U.S. for a long time. You come to the U.S. very often. Obviously, you're very familiar with what's going on in the corporate world in North America as well. And I would like you to speak to to our audience here, to corporate America, to the corporate leaders that might be considering adding some, additional support to their employees. If you follow, as I do, as the CEO Confident, if you follow the CEO surveys that, on an annual basis, these big, massive corporations, consulting firms launch and publish, the Ernst & Youngs, the Deloittes, the KPMGs, the Gartners, the McKinseys, all those consulting firms, they always talk about mental health of their employees to be a priority right now, and it has been like that since 2020 at least. So how could you, or how would you talk to those leaders that might be considering helping their colleagues with their mental journey? Let's put it this way.
Sure. So as someone who's been both a leader and a member of a team, I've seen differing levels of satisfaction from my colleagues around me. And there are some that I would say could just need a little bit of a boost or some new perspective, which will realign them. And then we've all also experienced coworkers that have really just checked out and have become kind of quite negative and look for others to discuss negative points of the company with. So I think meditation can be very empowering and calming for any employee, but particularly those that want to really contribute and be seen and might be looking for it in all the wrong places. So people who have strong ambition inside of them, but somehow it's getting lost and they're not, you're not quite, that they're a potential high performer and you're having trouble bringing out their skills and their drive and their motivation suddenly, because maybe you can sense that there's a little bit of something going on with them. So the meditations really are useful to create like a sense of centeredness for the day. So whether it's like a boost after lunchtime or something to start the day, or a meditation before an interview, a meditation before a conference, before a sales pitch, before any of these categories, that that can reinstill that connection to the heart, which doesn't seem so logical in a work environment. But ultimately, when we can make a connection between heart and brain, and a connection with the energy of the universe, which is in support of our flow, this can drive a very innate sense of productivity, which also finds reward in an internal way. And I can speak for myself. When I work from this manner, the reward already happens from me executing the work. And of course, we're all getting paid for, we all work also for money. But rather than it being so transactional, it can create this energy where the person is feeling empowered in who they are. And it's not meant to trick anybody into staying in a situation that's not correct for them. And it works both ways. You want to make sure that everybody who's there is there because they want to be there. And then everybody who's not, maybe doesn't belong in that environment. But meditation itself can smooth over those situations of toxicity as well, or offensive, the power games that take place. So I'm sort of speaking of a lot of different scenarios here. A lot of my friends in the New York City area are now vice presidents, directors, at least, of their companies. Many of them have their MBAs. And something that they've shared with me very often is actually when there's a toxic member of the team, or perhaps they end up in a situation where someone who is peripherally related is making their job very difficult to get certain things done and achieved. And when you're in a situation like that, where you have to lead, therefore you cannot share with anybody personally what is really happening, but you're also going through a challenging time because there are superior constituents that are potentially blocking your results, or at least general peace from getting things done. It can be really helpful to have a way to anchor and find perspective and connect within, even if it's just for 10 minutes of the day. And so those are the scenarios that are considered, that I see being felt across the board. So unfortunately, we do have to share the office with other people, and we do with their stories as well. We don't know who's bringing in a bad marriage, a bad relationship, a bad something. And sometimes these little power games can really, really inflict on us unnecessary friction, which impacts our performance or impacts our satisfaction with our daily life. So by making small intentional pauses where we can reflect on that specific issue while still being connected to something greater and remembering that we are connected to something greater, can have a huge energetic relief on what we're doing and create work from a different place.
Probably you have realized that I just added a new QR code. It says get free meditations. It's because actually it's a QR code that when you scan it, it takes you to the place on Alessandra's website, where Holy Shiver's website, where you can download not one, not two, 3 free meditations and sign up to her newsletter. So just scan that QR code and you will be able to get those free meditations, and you will start understanding why her meditations are so different. So Alessandra, I would like to start, calling it a day. But before we do that, is there something that you would like to add? Is that something, that burning idea you had inside of you that we still haven't talked about today?
Gosh, I think we've explored so many new things in a different perspective. It's been really refreshing to share this moment with you after it's been a few months since we last touched base, and so much has taken place in the time being. I guess I just had an insight today, which I can share just because it's the fresh insight of the day. I would say, and it's personally relatable. So the no matter where we are and what we're doing in our lives, it's always an inner journey. You might not see it that way, but it's an inner journey across the board, and it's not easy. And one more thing I'll add is sometimes when we think we have already gotten through something, it will come 10 times harder and stronger to ensure that we can finally heal from it. So if you're feeling resistance or block in a certain direction and you're seeing it coming even further closer to you, just don't worry. Just keep going through that. If it's anger and you're getting angrier, like remember, that's the moment it's going to get better afterwards, as long as you're meeting it with love and in a safer space with yourself. So that's all I wanted to share.
Awesome. What's the easiest way to find you, Alessandra?
Instagram or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Instagram is Holy Shiver. LinkedIn, I am Alessandra Veronesi.
All right. So let me put again the link to the ticker with the Instagram link. So if you go and look for Holly_Shiver, you will be able to find her. She's very active there. She's very active also on LinkedIn. As she said, that's where most of the audience that she's speaking to and talking to, and where she's willing and wanting to go in the future with all her corporate meditations is mostly on LinkedIn. That's why she's there all the time. Alessandra, it's been a pleasure to connect from the northern Italy and the center of the U.S., the center south of the U.S., Dallas and Milan. It's been a pleasure. Alessandra, thank you so much for accepting this invite today, this invitation today. God bless Envita, who introduced us a few months ago.
God bless all of us, and God bless Envita. She's wonderful.
Exactly. She's the person that introduced us. She's definitely a great connector, a great human being that definitely does great things in the world. So again, to everybody, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's been a blessing to have you with us. It's been a blessing that you have been listening and being with us all the time. I'm sure that you have been able to click on the QR codes that we have shown, both the how to buy and where to buy the book, A New Banana book from Holy Shiver, Alessandra Veronesi, her alter egos book. And also we have been able to share with you the place where you can download 3, meditations that we are sure that are going to be, helping you in your daily life. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And as usual, here at the CEO Confidant channel, this is Angel Rebo, the CEO Confidant here in the US. We have helped more than 1,500 CEOs in the last 20 plus years in 33 different countries. And I'm also the co-founder and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. We have helped more than 1,000 underprivileged kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs using their local resources. Thank you again for being with us today. And as every single day, we are here on LinkedIn and in many other platforms. God bless you. Bye-bye.